Welcome to Type C Tech Reviews. Today we're going to be doing a review of the Sceptre U27W-UPT. But if at any point during the video you want to check out this exact same monitor, there's Amazon links below for the US, UK, Canada, and international links. But let's jump into the review. Now, starting it right off, this is a 27-inch flat 3840 by 2160 resolution, aka 4K monitor. That is a whole lot of resolution at that screen size. The PPI, or pixels per inch, so actually how crisp and clear the image is going to be, is about 163. That is very, very high. That means text on screen is going to be incredibly clear, even if it's small. Images, videos, movies, anything on screen is going to be incredibly crisp, which is fantastic. This is great if you're working long days, if you need to see fine print, or if you're doing coding or something like that, staring at text all day or images. This is really good for that. Now, the panel type is an IPS panel, or in-plane switching. Now, this is the best panel, in my opinion, for this type of workflow because, number one, you get the best viewing angles. You can go left to right, up and down, and you're gonna get no color shift, so your viewing angles are really good. The other thing that you do get is great colors. So this does have nice, vibrant, beautiful colors. And again, they don't shift when moving side to side or up and down, which is fantastic. All right, now the refresh rate. This isn't too big of a deal if you're just using it for a workflow monitor. However, this does hit 70 Hertz. That is up from the typical 60 Hertz. If you just use a monitor, you've never even heard of refresh rate before, this is going to be about 10 Hertz more, 10 frames more, which is essentially just a nice luxury to have. It'll just make your overall experience more fluid. It'll just make the display just seem a little bit more fluid, less laggy. So that is an awesome luxury to have, and I love it when productivity monitors do this. Now, as far as variable refresh rate, if you guys are gamers, no variable refresh rate here, so you don't have that. However, this price point, we don't expect that. All right, now all that is well and good, but the biggest thing for me that really stood out is the brightness. This thing is advertised at 350 nits, which is a good, very good, respectable brightness, especially at this price point again, which is insanely low. This is putting it in a really competitive space compared to Dell and LG, which are the top in this space. 350 nits is respectable and more than LG and Dell do at the same price point. That being said, that is just the advertised, and after testing, this thing went over 420 nits typically, all the time, hitting it all day long. 420 nits. This thing is beautifully vibrant and bright, and it's unbelievable that at a price tag of $250, 4K, IPS, and then you get 420 nits of brightness. Unbelievable. Blew me away. Now, you don't have any HDR support. However, I really don't care because at this price point, we don't expect it, as well as the fact that the SDR brightness is so good. All right, now colors. Colors are good, covering 99% of the sRGB color space. We don't get a super wide color gamut here. We don't get super wide color coverage of like the DCI-P3 color space. However, again, $250, I think that's pretty good. After calibration, this can be used for some light video or photo editing. If you're gonna be editing YouTube videos, absolutely, you can use this for sure. If you're gonna do more professional stuff, I would probably bump it up to a higher end LG monitor with wider coverage of the DCI-P3 color space. That being said, one thing that this does get right is it outputs 8 bits of color. Now, that is really good considering at this price point, it is typical for a lot of monitors to do 6 bits of color. Now, it doesn't have 10 bits of color. It doesn't use frame rate control to do that 10 bits of color, obviously, because it's not a high refresh rate panel. Probably don't want to do that, but it is still quite good that it's outputting 8 bits of color. That was impressive. Now, contrast ratio is typical for IPS panels at 1,000 to 1. You will see some places that Sceptre kind of advertises 3,000 to 1, like on their website. This is not true. Sceptre, as much as I love a lot of their monitors, sometimes their advertising not always correct. However, in the case of brightness, it's a good thing. All right, now as far as IPS glow or backlight bleed, after testing this thing, it was spot on, which is really impressive because once you get a lower price point, we kind of gets me a little bit worried. Is it gonna have certain issues like that? But no, perfect with backlight bleed and IPS glow. Didn't see any of it, which is absolutely fantastic. All right, now response time and ghosting. Again, if you are just using this for workflow, editing, watching Netflix, or just typical workflow stuff, this is not really gonna be that important to you. However, I do have to say it. The response time hits a 5 millisecond gray to gray response time, and that equates to actually very little ghosting because this is an IPS panel. Better than actually quite a few other IPS panels from LG that are workflow style monitors like this one. So this is pretty impressive. That being said, the one thing that takes away from the gaming experience overall is the input lag. This has significantly higher input lag than a lot of the LG workflow monitors that are 4K. So that makes the overall gaming experience playable, totally fine. It's great. If you're coming for something worse than this, you probably won't even notice it. However, I game on very high-end monitors all the time, and this was definitely noticeable to me. In workflow, this doesn't affect it at all. You won't even notice it. However, in game, I did notice it. Didn't really affect my KD too much, so I could still play games enjoyably. However, don't expect to be doing a competitive CSGO or anything like that. I know I'm touching on this a little bit too much, but a little note for all you gamers, the screen tearing, pretty unbelievable actually, as this doesn't have any variable refresh rate. It was like pretty dang good. So for you gamers out there, you can game enjoyably, but the input lag is a little bit higher. That being said, if you're using like an Xbox or a PlayStation, it's gonna be totally fine. Now, as far as basic compatibility, this is compatible with 100mm by 100mm base mounts out of the box, which is fantastic. This also does have internal speakers, and like I said in the unboxing, this does work, they function, they're bad, but it's better than not having monitor speakers, so A+. They include them, and that's all you really need. They can be used in a pinch if you're on a Zoom call or whatever. They can definitely be used. But again, don't expect you to be like jamming out to music with them. They don't sound that good. All right, now ports. This is where we kind of have to go over things. It's kind of a mixed bag here. It has one DisplayPort 1.2, which can output 4K at the 70 hertz. So if you want to get that 70 hertz refresh rate, you got to use DisplayPort. And then you have one HDMI 2.0 that's up to 4K at 60 hertz. So you can, if you want to plug in an Xbox or a PlayStation, you can absolutely game 4K 60 hertz. Fantastic. Do it all day. Then there are two more HDMI 1.4s. This is where it gets a little iffy because if you want to output 4K, it's only at 30 hertz, which is weird. 30 hertz is not typical. Not something that you're gonna wanna use all the time. Unless you're using something like an Xbox One X or something like that, you could use that for that, but you'll probably be wanting to do 1440p to get 60 hertz with those two HDMI 1.4, so a little bit weird there. And then you get a 3.5mm audio out. Now for me, not a big deal because I'm only ever gonna be using one HDMI and one DisplayPort, and those two are fine for that. You could plug an Xbox Series S or X or PS5 in there, and you'd be good to go, and then plug your DisplayPort in to your PC or your computer or whatever you're using. So that works there, but it is a little strange. All right, now stand and build quality, also a mixed bag here. There's things that I love, things that I don't love. Things that I don't love is it only has tilt. It's got a good amount of tilt, but there's no height adjustability, there's no rotation, there's no swivel. So you're only getting tilt there. However, it is at a good height. Now, the thing that I love is the way this thing is built and the way it looks. Because oh my God, this is probably one of the best looking Sceptre monitors that they've ever made. The front fascia is beautiful. Thin bezels coupled with that bottom chin that has that metal kind of look. It's plastic down there, but it looks like metal. It looks really, really good. Then you pair that with the stand. Now in the B-roll clips, it's gonna look good in person when you're sitting at the desk and you're using the monitor. The stand makes it look like the monitor is floating there in a really beautiful high-end way. The stand is all metal. It's a solid piece of metal. It's a clip-in stand, so it's easy to set up, easy to vase mount if you want to do that. Very stable, and again, if you compare this stand and the overall way that the monitor looks to LG and Dell, in this same price range, this one wins 10 out of 10 times. It is a very beautiful monitor. Overall, if you want a beautiful, bright, and vibrant panel that has super high resolution at a very, very low price point of only $250, this is absolutely it. Again, if you want to check it out, there's Amazon links below for the US, UK, Canada, and international links. And man, did this monitor impress me. $250, 4K, IPS, 420 nits of brightness, unbelievable. Now, the only reason I would recommend LG over this would be maybe better colors, but again, higher price point and lower input lag if you want to use this for more competitive gaming as well as workflow stuff, editing, something like that. However, this is a super incredible price point, a really great budget option for 4K and high brightness and a beautiful panel overall. But yeah, this was Type C Tech Reviews. Really impressed with this monitor. Great job, Sceptre, and I'll see you guys in the next video.